Hi, in this video I'm going to do a walkthrough of the Eurorack patch which I just did a track on. The link is just up there above somewhere, and this is more for my own record, so I'll have a journal of what the patch settings were, because with Eurorack, as soon as the cables are unplugged, you've lost everything. So this is my first real attempt at putting semi-modular and modular synths together. I've probably done 1,000 things wrong. By all means, leave me your thoughts and comments in the questions down below. And if you want to learn more or ask more questions, by all means, subscribe. All of the sequencing in this track is done by the Korg SQ-1, which is a bit weird because I have a Digitone sitting here which has a fantastic sequencer, but basically the SQ-1 is doing all of the work, which means I can punch in and out different notes as needed. So if I hit play here, for example, so you can hear there different notes can be punched in and out. And I have this set to 5-volt range, and both of the tracks running in parallel, A and B, and they are in a minor scale. A lot of the sound processing is done by the Zoia. It's actually running an Ambient Glitch patch, which I got from Patch Storage. I'll include a link down below. And that is where I send the sound from quite a few of the different synths, and I have it as an aux sound on my mixer, which is buried in the back over there. This device here is the CV.OCD. It's a MIDI to control voltage and gate generator, but it does so much more. And in this case, I'm kind of cheating and just using it very simply to generate a clock. The Crave setup here is going to be clocked and control voltages from the SQ-1, and it's going to run a kind of an acid bassline sound. It has this squelchy patch. I have the resonance dialed up very high. Then I play the cutoff, and that allows me to kind of dial in and out that kind of squelchy sound. The sequencer can run on the Crave, but I don't actually want it running because I have all the sequencing done from the SQ-1. I have the control voltage from the SQ-1 going into the mult input on the Crave. I have one of the mult outputs going into the oscillator CV for the Crave's oscillator. The other mult output then goes up into the 1 volt per octave input, as you'll see in a second on the no coast. The LFO is running quite slowly, and it's modulating the filter a little bit. It's also modulating the pulse width because I have it on a square wave. So basically, when I want to play this, I hit play on the SQ-1. And by just turning the cutoff, I can create that nice kind of squelchy effect. Okay, now let's talk about the no coast. So the role of the no coast is a bass synth. It's providing the bass line in the track. You hear that very recognizable sound, a very recognizable no coast sound. So I use that as a bass line, and it kind of underpins the rhythm of the whole track. The gate value is being triggered, of course, by the gate output of the SQ-1. The 1 volt per octave comes from the mult output on the Crave, which is, of course, coming from the SQ-1. I'm modulating the overtone using the sample on hold here. I'm also modulating the multiply unit a little bit, and I can play around with that using the sample on hold. Very straightforward patch, but it actually is quite effective here. A little bit of routing through the Eventide H9 as well. The role of the Digitone, buried under all of these cables, is to be a drum sequencer. Nothing more, nothing less, just master clock and drums. Bit of an underuse for the Digitone, but when I started building the track, the SQ-1 was playing the role of the sequencer, and so the Digitone just came along to fill in drums. So I can hit play here. If I pull out the so you can hear there straight away there's various drum rhythms I've programmed in. I've also got over here on Patron 10 a fill rhythm on track 3, which allows me to just get things set up. Like if I'm tweaking things on the modular and I need to get something just going in the background, I can just play this track for a little while. The MIDI from the Digitone is routed via my MIDI hub, so everything's over USB MIDI, and the MIDI hub is then routing everything and sending the MIDI to the CV.OCD to create a clock, but also the SQ-1 is being clocked from the Digitone, and then the SQ-1 is sending CV out. I'm not converting MIDI to CV in this. I kept it pretty simple. Okay, fun and games. Let's talk modular. So this is my first modular case. It's a 104 HP 3U case from EOWave. I bought most of this second hand because I didn't really know if I was going to go all in on modular. And I think, like everybody, I discovered once you start, you go all in on modular. There are two sound sources running in parallel here. We've got plates and we've got rings. So I'm going to talk about how I've set them up because they each are doing different things. I'm going to make sure I've muted down everything else, and then we'll talk about the signal flow. On the output stage, the mixer here, I send everything via this Behringer out. It's really handy. It's got a headphone output too for queuing things, but basically for this, it allows me to set all the levels up, get everything queued up on the modular rack. Then I can just dial this up here. This red knob controls the master output volume. That means I can leave my mixer set to where I need it to be, and this is the one that's doing all of the final mixing. I've got this Manhattan Audio 3-channel mixer here, and so channel 3 is going to be the output of the plates via a wave folder, and channels 1 and 2 are the output of rings through an Antumbra Smog, which is a Mutable Instruments Clouds clone. Okay, now let's see what happens if I hit play and we listen to plates. So what you're hearing there is plates being triggered by the SQ-1. It's sending its audio output into this IntelliGel microfold. So I'll turn down channel 3 here. Channel 1 and 2 is everyone's favorite mutable rings, and rings is going through Antumbra Smog, which is adding that granular reverb sound. It's going through the parallel left and right inputs of the Smog, and then that goes into channel 1 and 2 of the Manhattan mixer. The position and the tone of the grains is being modulated by mutable marbles. I've just got an LFO running here. This is a Livewire Vulcan modulator. The Vulcan modulator takes two waveforms, you got sine, you got triangle, and you got square wave. It takes two of them, you get both of those as outputs, and then you also can cross modulate them against each other. Take the sum, the difference, the min and the max, which you can configure using jumpers on the back. This then in turn is used to modulate parameters on rings, which gives a bit of movement there. It also modulates the Neutron, which we're going to look at in a moment. So that's the signal flow through the Eurorack case. There's two sound sources, which I'm playing off each other and mixing in as needed. Okay, so the Neutron setup is quite straightforward, really. It's got a couple of modulations going on. The LFO is being synced by the sample on hold module in the Neutron itself. The oscillator shapes are being modulated by the sine wave and the the sum of the sine waves of the Vulcan modulator. So it's creating movement on the two oscillators. They're in oscillator sync mode, tuned just a little bit off each other. And then the LFO changes shape constantly for that movement in the sound. And the oscillator itself, the two oscillators, because they're synced, I'm sending a CV in here, and then the audio is recorded into my mixer. Finally, let's look at the mixer stage. Basically, I have everything dialed in here. This mixer is the Faderfox MX12, which I'm using to send MIDI commands to the Behringer XR18, which is buried off in the back behind all the cables. It allows me to bring in different instruments. So I hope you found that useful. It was a lot for my own purposes, this as a journal of what I had made. But if you've got thoughts or questions about how I could do this better or improvements to make, please do let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos, and thanks for watching.